Hello everyone, a quick update on stock market and the economy in general, what's going on in the politics world. We know that everybody is excited about Democrats and Republicans coming to a common terms and coming to conclusion. So the government shutdown will finally wrap up and end soon. Hopefully that's what the market is expecting. We know the Friday was the worst day in the stock market and everything was down so much. It was a good buy the dip opportunity if you had liquid cash. But if you missed that boat, the stocks are still down, and we know that AI stocks took a big hit because everybody thought that AI stocks are in bubble. But in my opinion, if you look at it, for example, NVDA is only 28% of PEG ratio, which is not even close to where Tesla is trading or where some of the other stocks are trading. It has a long way to go. Some of the stocks, like for example, Palantir, may be a little bit high, like extremely overvalued. But again, the story is so new that 2 years from now, we might think, why didn't we buy it? It was so cheap. Because if you look at it, in 2017, everybody thought Tesla was expensive, but look where Tesla has gone now. It has never come down. Sure, it has been pulling down a little bit, but that's the norms of the market. It has been going sideways, but the prices have increased ever since over the course of past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Same story is going to go on with all these AI stocks. Market is enthusiastic today because everybody thinks, investors think the stock market is going to do well after the shutdown ends. It's going to go back to its rally mode, which is true. And historically, we know the last quarter, particularly November, is a good month to trade anyway for the stock market. Therefore, the stocks were rising today. We all know that Elon Musk's pay package has been approved by the shareholders. It would have brought the stock higher if the normal pullback in the stock market was not happening. Of course, Tesla is no exception. When there's lots of pullback in the market and fear in general in the market, it affects every stock, and so it did affect Tesla as well. My price prediction still is 505 to 500, sorry, $501 to $507 by December 5th. And in my opinion, it's going to happen because of all the call options that are going to expire. And I think that's going to bring the stock market higher. Also, Elon Musk has recently announced a flying car, possibly, which might come by the end of the year. And if that's true and that does happen, that's going to take Tesla stock to next heights. Now let's talk about what Donald Trump has announced. You probably have heard that Donald Trump has announced $2,000 stimulus package to every American or every taxpayer in the United States. Anybody who's not, who doesn't fall into the high end category, like who make too much money, for example. So in that case, there are 155 million people. Let's remove 10 million from there. So 145 million, even if you just consider all the adults, that means he has to come up with a big chunk of money in order for him to issue $2,000 stimulus pay package. He had announced some kind of dividend or stimulus back when Elon Musk was in charge of Doge and they were trying to save money from Doge. But at that point, he didn't promise anything. He just said that we're considering it, we'll look into it, we might issue a pay package or a stimulus check or a dividend check to all the Americans, the money that we're saving from Doge. But it was nothing, the wording was so vague that it wasn't promised. We can't really blame Donald Trump for not issuing a check because he never promised it technically. But if you read his post this time, he has almost certainly guaranteed that he is going to issue a $2,000 stimulus check coming in 2026. And there are some people of the opinion that this is a BS again, and he's not going to issue a check just like he promised last time, but he never did it. But this is going to be the same thing again. However, I have a different opinion. I think, and you all know that there is a hearing going on in the court against his tariff war or his trade war, which the court is not even sure if this is legal to begin with. So the court makes decision between 4 to 6 months of time frame, and if you calculate it, that time frame ends somewhere between March and April. So in order for Donald Trump, and we know Donald Trump, he wants to win, he likes winning, he doesn't like to look like he was a failure and he couldn't get what he wanted. So what he's going to do is he's going to probably issue the $2,000 stimulus check to taxpayers, because then when the court rules, let's say they say, well, these tariffs were illegal to begin with and they shouldn't have happened, so you need to return all that money, he can say, well, oops, the money's already spent, at least give me a break. So at least when he's going to jail, which he's going to definitely override anyway, he can say, well, the money's already spent, so you have to give me a break. I can't give that money back to you because the money was distributed among Americans. Because he would hate to see that money go back to all those countries whom he has made that money from. And that's why I'm of the opinion, I might be wrong, but I think, in my opinion, he is going to issue that $2,000 stimulus pay package coming next year, 2026. Whether he does it in the first month or second month, we don't know, but I know he's going to do it before the decision of the court is issued. Now let's talk about Jerome Powell. The probability of a rate cut in December has been decreasing. Lots of the analysts in the stock market and investors are of the opinion that Jerome Powell may not announce a rate cut in December. But in my personal opinion, and the reason being is because we don't have access to lots of data. We can't see how the labor market is doing. We don't have our consumer price index numbers. We don't have our PPI report as well, the numbers, the recent numbers, because shutdown has gone over 4 weeks now. And therefore, market is a little nervous and they don't know what Jerome Powell is going to announce, given there's the data is absent, which was going to determine what he's going to decide. So in the absence of data, analysts and investors are a bit nervous. But I have to say one thing very clearly. Lots of the fund managers, they're the one who are the analysts, and they're causing this fear mongering on the market, because if you read the data, it says only 25% of the fund managers are making their benchmark for this year, because they didn't expect this U-shaped recovery or V-shaped recovery that we have been through this year. They were of the opinion that maybe we're going into recession, so that's why they were reluctant to invest into the market, and they had lots of money sitting on the sideline. Now the market has gone so high, they're trying to cause this fear mongering, because they would like the market to come down to where they stand, so they don't look as bad in front of their clients as they do right now, because at the year end they have to obviously make sure that their clients are happy and satisfied, because they're holding lots of money from their clients that they're investing, and they did not do a good job this year out of fear. And I think that's why they're creating lots of fear in the market, because they want people to panic sell. As a result, the market will come down, so they can say, well, it was a small bubble and it finally burst, and that's what we were expecting, and that's the reason why we didn't go all into the market, because we knew this was going to happen. But I don't think retailers and some of the investors who are already heavily invested into the market are going to pull their money out this fast. But yes, sometimes they do, because if they have a large stake in the market, they don't want to lose all the gains that they have accumulated over the year or the past so many months. But overall, every dip that gets created in the market gets bought back up right away. Like if you look at Friday, the first part of the day, it was mostly, if the market drops in the morning or in the afternoon, that mainly means that it's the fund managers and the large investors and institutions that are selling. If the market goes down midday or at different intervals, then it's mainly the retailers. So we saw that market had a dump on Friday morning. It's all the institutions were dumping it out of fear. But then that dip was bought back right after in the afternoon. And then this morning, of course, we saw the market was rallying again. So retailers are not giving up. And we know 60%, retailers make 60% of the stock market, because every other person that you meet, they tell you that they're investing in the stocks. Anyhow, so having said that, this fear mongering is created by these analysts and these institutions and these fund managers, because they're failing this year and they want market to go down so they don't look that bad in front of their clients, because they don't want to lose their high net worth clients. And in my opinion, Donald Trump is going to issue $2,000 stimulus check, because he would hate to see that money go back to those countries, that money that he accumulated from imposing tariffs on certain countries, he can just then say, well, that money's already spent. I gave it to the Americans, the taxpayers, and I can't take it back. And I think at that point, the court is obviously not going to be able to force him to get that money or pay that money because there is none left. We're already, but as far as $2,000 is concerned, I know on the surface, lots of Americans can enjoy it and use it because every day I meet people and they're struggling and suffering. And this government shutdown didn't help. Obviously, there were lots of people who were benefits, who were getting food stamp and all those, cash assistance programs, but they have not been getting paid. And in my community, I know we've been doing lots of fundraising, and the Muslim Pantry has been collecting lots of food items to distribute to the locals who were not able to buy their food and groceries. So, all those people, they could absolutely utilize the $2,000 and enjoy it in the short term. But we know our GDP is actually $3.8 trillion deficit. It's not 3.7, it's 3.8 trillion and some change deficit as of Friday when I looked at the data. So adding another $2,000 per American or per adult in America, which is like 155 million people, let's say if you take off the top 10% or top million, let's say it's 145 million people that this $2,000 stimulus check is going to be issued, that's going to have another large amount of deficit in the economy, which is going to cause more inflation. Just like when Joe Biden had issued a stimulus check during COVID, things had gotten so expensive and it caused lots of inflation. This time it's going to get even worse because we're already at high inflation. Yes, it has come down respectively, comparatively compared to last year. Now, Donald Trump in his tweet said that inflation is close to zero, and then 401ks are doubled, and stock market is doing great. That all sounds good, but it's literally bull crap because inflation rate is not close to zero at all. I don't know what Donald Trump is smoking. Inflation is actually at 3.0% right now, but in reality, it's actually 6% in my opinion, because all these politicians obviously fake data and they hide lots of data. They don't show us everything that they see. But let's say even if it's 3%, it's far from being close to 0% whatsoever. So with him issuing $2,000 stimulus check, that's going to cause a lot more inflation, which Federal Reserve is trying to control in the past for the past 4 years now, and they still are saying that it's going to take them 2 more years. So every year they say 2 more years, and they've been saying it for past 4 years. I mean, even they're not consistent with their numbers, and they don't even know what they're talking about. So this whole nonsense is, yeah, it sounds good, but it's all fluff and it's all made up stuff. Sure, stock market has been doing well, but that's because people had no other option to invest. Like real estate was dead, people couldn't invest in real estate because the interest rates were so high, people couldn't borrow money. Similarly, there wasn't much available in the real estate anyway to buy or sell, which kind of pauses the transactions. So the only option people had was to invest in the stock market, and obviously money market and all those interest-bearing accounts were not paying much. I know we as a Muslim, we don't put money into that because interest is prohibited in our religion. So lots of Muslims had only choice to invest in the stock market. And if I know it correctly, I might be wrong, that Jewish don't get themselves involved into interest either. They don't give money to each of their own interests, and they don't take interest from each other as well. I'm not sure if they would put money in the banking money markets or CDs to get interest. But again, I know Muslims don't. So there's a large number of people who had no other option but to invest in the stock market. For example, all the retailers, the people who have small, odd jobs, every penny they save, they try to invest into the stock market, and that's why the stock market's been doing well. 401k, sure, because the market was going up. Ultimately, our 401ks and IRAs were going up as well. But inflation close to zero is like the biggest bull crap I've ever heard out of Donald Trump's mouth. But it's not like he doesn't lie often. He does lie quite often anyway. But regardless of that, I think he will issue $2,000 stimulus check, and I think that's going to make lots of people happy. Their life will become easier in the short term at least. but of course we have to pay that in the longer run in the form of inflation. I always say this vicious cycle has to end. I don't know how long it's going to take, maybe next 20 years, but eventually this system is going to collapse. But hopefully we wouldn't have to face that and see it, and our children wouldn't have to face that as well. But they're living in this country, so we have to make sure that we keep it safe for our kids. Now let's talk about some of the stocks. I know I already talked about Tesla. I'm expecting $501 to $507 by December 5th. Towards the end of the year, my goal was 500, so I think that's going to cover that. NVDA, PLTR, all those, they did dip a lot on Friday out of this fear, but everybody bought it back up because there are lots of people who were waiting for this dip, and since that happened, people just jumped right back on that train and they bought those stocks. So as Dan Ives say, party's just starting. It has until 4 o'clock in the morning to go. So I think all these AI stocks are going to do well. Now, quantum stocks have also suffered quite a bit, and they didn't regain this morning either. And the reason being was that there's more fear around quantum stocks than there is around AI stocks, and it has something to do with the company. I have to do a little bit more research on it. I'll probably make a separate video on it because there were some company, I forgot the name, was issuing their earning report this afternoon, but I didn't have time to read it and see what happened to it. But I think that's what caused the quantum stocks to not do so well. Uber is also flying. It's been hovering over $100 range. Uber had good earnings, but yet it dropped anyway. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean the dip won't get bought back up, which actually it already has. It dropped to $90 on Friday and it was already at $95 today. Xpeng, as a Chinese EV car company, has announced that they're going to have robotaxis and autonomous robot kind of added to their cars as well, and they are announcing FSDs and robotaxis as well. As a result, that stock has been flying. Thursday it ran so much, I think about 6 or 8%, and then it dropped on Friday with the market. But it's been running all day today. It went up like 17%, between 16.5 and 17%, including after hours. So I think with this enthusiasm and this excitement that another competition is coming in the market other than Tesla and Waymo, now Xpeng has announced that they're going to be competing with all these tech giant as well, to issue and announce and introduce their robotaxis as well. So that's stock to look out for. The consensus on that, it has been a buy to begin with. Everybody is very positive. The market analysts are are positive about this stock, and they think this stock is going to go higher. So if you're not invested into it, it has ran up so much, it might pull back a little. So wait for the dip and then buy in and start a position. NIO, on the other hand, it's a competitor of Xpeng. It's also a Chinese company, has not been doing that great. It did go up quite a bit though. When the stock dropped all the way to I think $2 and some change, but now it's at hovering between $6 and $7. So it has gained some momentum in the recent weeks and months, but overall that stock from its all-time high is that's one of the bags that I've been holding for like 3 years now, because I bought it at the peak at like $45 and then went all the way back to $2 or $3, and now it's gradually going up. But I don't think it has the momentum and volume to bring it back to my cost basis. I may have dollar cost average, or maybe just take a loss at the end of the year, but I'll see what I want to do. So just be careful. Those things do happen. Sometimes you feel you FOMO in, like for example, Palantir. As tempted as I am to buy that stock, I am holding myself back because I have learned my lesson from these mistakes. Like Xpeng, I'm also holding XYZ, which was something else that has changed its name 3 times. I have a big bag that I'm holding. Xpeng was also my big bag, but I have been dollar cost averaging. Now my cost basis is $29. So I think I'm going to get close to that, and I will just probably get out of it. So therefore, I'm reluctant to buy these high valued AI stocks at this point. I might be wrong this time, but 3 years ago, it was the electronic, the EV era, and every company that announced some kind of EV was just running just like AI stocks right now. So that's why I feel like I should just sit back and wait. It might take me 6 months to a year to get the price that I'm looking for, but it might happen. And if it doesn't happen, then oh well, it wasn't meant to be for me. Therefore, I just say don't follow my directions. Please do your own due diligence, calculate your own risk, and see what your risk tolerance is, and be very mindful of when you invest into the stock market. I hope this video helps. Please give my video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Until next one, take care and goodbye.